So welcome everybody. Jennifer, how are we looking for assigned attendees? Think we have everybody?
I think we're doing pretty good. And anyone
Okay,
that joins, we're going to record. So
that
we'll get
sounds great. So
started.
we should get started. We're just after 6:30. Welcome everyone. My name is Melissa Shepard, and I'm the coordinator of the guidance department at Brockton High in our pathway high schools as well, so 9 to 12. And I'm here with Jennifer Bento Pignon, and she is the director of K-12 education for MEFA Pathways. Brockton Public Schools works very closely with MEFA Pathways. All of our students, 612, have a portal on Clever. So you can ask your child. We're building capacity in the guidance department to work with students in the MEFA Pathway portal. But it is a tool for students to explore college and career exploration in their future interests. So it's something that we're building capacity here with in the district. And I'm looking forward to tonight. We've done a similar presentation last week to our juniors in the district. And so we wanted to have something for families to also watch about, the college admissions process, as it can certainly be overwhelming, especially if it's your first time through the process. So I'm grateful to have Jennifer with us, and she's going to take us through an overview of the process and how MEFA Pathway can be a tool to your student and to yourselves to kind of learn more about this process along the way. So if you have questions during the webinar, you can type them in. I think Jennifer will address that, and we're going to address all the questions at the end of the webinar. So thank you again for joining, Jennifer.
All
Welcome.
right. Great. Thank you for having me. What a privilege to be part of your district and working with your students and families, and especially you, Melissa. It's always a pleasure. So tonight we're going to talk about college admissions and MEFA Pathway and how we can use MEFA Pathway through that process. Just a few logistics before we get started. The chat is disabled. So if you have a question, as Melissa said, just type it in the QA and those will be addressed. If you want to use the live transcript, if you'd like to see the words, you can do that. You can enable that feature. And if you need to leave the webinar, absolutely no worries. The webinar is being recorded and we will send a follow-up email with the recording along with the slides. And we also have some translated slides as well that Melissa will share following this session. So just a little bit about MEFA. MEFA is a state authority created over 40 years ago with a public service mission to help families plan, save, and pay for college. And we continue to honor that mission. And as an extension of all of what we do and offer at MEFA, MEFA Pathway is a college and career planning website available for students in grades 6 through 12. So Brockton District Schools, the middle and high schools, have committed to using MEFA Pathway as part of their curriculum to help guide and support students as they create a plan for after high school. So throughout this presentation, I will highlight tools in MEFA Pathway to help with the college admissions process. In addition, MEFA Pathway includes all kinds of great activities to guide and support students to all types of future planning, not just college. So during this presentation, we will discuss trends in the college admissions process. We will look at how to create a solid college list. We will talk about campus visits and the importance of those. We will learn about the specifics of the application process. We will touch a little bit on financial aid. That's a whole ball of wax in itself. So MEFA has a host of resources that go into great detail on the financial aid part. So we'll encourage you to seek those out. And then we'll identify resources throughout the presentation as well. So we'll start about talking about trends in college admissions. Students are beginning to think about college admissions now in their junior year or even earlier than that. So here are some of the trends. Students are applying to a greater number of schools. And one reason for that is that Common Application, and we'll talk about that in greater detail in a couple of slides, allows students to send applications to many colleges. So most counselors now recommend applying to between 6 and 8 schools, but in more if the list is comprised of Ivy League schools or highly competitive schools, or if a student is interested in a selected major. So students applying to a greater number of colleges is resulting in colleges having a more difficult time making admissions decisions. Therefore, making our second bullet here, demonstrated interest, more important and more prevalent. This could be demonstrated interest could be speaking to a representative at a college fair, a call or an email to the admissions office, or a campus visit, all of which are highly encouraged to be done by the student-led. Colleges want to hear from the students. They don't want to necessarily hear from the parents. Social media, many schools use social media in their online recruitment efforts. So this can be used in a number of positive ways to remind students of deadlines and information sessions. Those schools may not check for every applicant, a student's social media presence, as well as how they present themselves over the phone, through email, and in person can be considered as part of that application. So some admissions officers check social media posts of applicants. So it's super important for students to make sure that their profiles and posts are appropriate. It's good to stay, and it's a great way to stay connected with a school, so it can be used in a very positive manner. So Google yourself, see what pops up, and if you can clean anything up, do so. Because schools, sometimes look at that at those profiles. Cost is a bigger factor than ever, so something to be aware of when looking at your colleges. Affordability is really important. There has been an uptick in ways to interact with colleges virtually. So during the pandemic, colleges had to step up their virtual game, resulting in more ways to interact with colleges virtually. So many have sophisticated virtual tours if you're not able to get to a campus in person. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a few slides. Also, more colleges have become test optional. So just be aware when you're looking at colleges, what the status is on those colleges you're considering to apply to, because again, more are becoming test optional. And as a result of that, because more colleges are test optional, there are a larger number of applications being submitted. So that's why it is important to create a balanced list of colleges. So you have choices. And again, as a result of students applying to a greater number of colleges, even if a student is totally qualified, they could be put on a wait list. So there are longer wait lists, and we'll talk about that in more detail as well. All right, so important to stay organized. You do not want to miss a deadline. An application or financial aid deadline, they could vary, and colleges do not waver on these. It's not like getting an extension on a history paper. A deadline is a deadline. So however you are most comfortable, whether that is an Excel spreadsheet or a whiteboard in your kitchen or an old-fashioned notebook, definitely keep track. And this here on the slide, we have an example of a college application manager that MEFA offers on our website. So you can always download that. But no matter how you do it, just make sure you're keeping track of application and financial aid deadlines. And students who are applying to selective majors may face earlier admissions deadlines for consideration into those programs. For example, like nursing or engineering. So again, a great example of just to keep an eye on the various deadlines. Okay, so now moving on to researching our colleges. So students want to focus on finding colleges that will be the best match for the student's needs. You need to do the research. It's so important. Take the time to explore, and you'll want to make certain that every college on the list is a good fit for you, the student. There are many online tools that are available. You can see here, we have College Navigator, we have College Scorecard, Big Future, but MEFA Pathway, which you as students in the Brockton district have access to, has a dynamic college search feature that allows students to add their preferences, such as location, size of school, GPA range, test information, cost. And then once you start to explore and find colleges that you may want to explore further down the road, you can add those colleges to your My College list and then come back to that list as you narrow down and continue through the process. So, question, how do you know if it's a good fit? Data points such as average GPA, average SAT or ACT scores, acceptance rate, last year's admitted class profiles are all listed on a college's website and most college search tools. So compare them against the student profile to see you as a student to see where you fall. It's encouraged that you should develop a relationship with each college on the list, be in touch with your admissions office, with the admissions office, attend a college visit, visit the college if possible. Colleges do track that interest in when you show interest in an institution, that's demonstrated interest. And it's also helpful to find a college and looking when you're exploring if you have extracurriculars in mind that are interesting to you or match your activities in high school. And that can help ease your transition into college as well, going from high school to college. So really important, that college search piece. Okay, so some college factors to consider when you're starting that college search. Institution size and location. You may not know when you start the process, and you may consider campus visits to get a feel for, are you more comfortable on a smaller campus versus a larger campus? Where do you want to be? Do you want to be in a city, or do you want to be in a rural area? So those are things to consider. Academic fit. Colleges have an academic profile of the last class that they admitted posted, and you can take a look at that. So see where you fall. Intended major. If you feel strongly about a major or program of study, make sure that's offered at the college that you're going to apply to. Learning style. The size of the college, the size of the classes. Do you prefer a more intimate class setting, or would you thrive in a larger class size? These are all personal preferences. Check out the campus culture. If you visit, you can see and kind of assess, what are students doing? Are they hanging outside? Are they gathering in the student commons inside? You can get a really good feel for campus culture and what may be a good fit for you and what your comfort level is. Assess activities. What's going on? Is it a big sports college? What kind of clubs and extracurriculars are offered? What's important to you in that regard? Study abroad, career and internships programs. Are these programs that may be important for your college experience? If so, make sure they're offered to those schools that you're applying. So these are all things that you can find out about the college. And of course, affordability. Consider finances, but remember that you may pay a much less price than the sticker price due to financial aid. All right, so informal and formal campus visits. How do you find out about campus visits? Usually, colleges will have a calendar on their website, on their admissions, in the admissions section of their website. So you can check and sign up right from the college website for a formal visit. Informal visits are super valuable. You can do a drive-by, you can go to a basketball game, you can attend a play, you can talk to and observe students. So maybe just on an afternoon, on a Saturday, you have the opportunity to check out a college campus informally. You can assess, do students seem happy, engaged? Self-guided tours are also often an option to, you just grab a map of the college campus and do your own thing. College campuses are open environments, so you can visit at any time, at least informally. Then the formal tours are certainly more structured. So again, like I said, you can sign up online and definitely look forward to your visit. Go prepared with questions. Guides love that. They love to be asked questions. They want to talk about their college. That's why they're doing a tour. Maybe ask the tour guide or other students what they like best about the school. What we always say is you wouldn't buy a car without test driving it, and college is an even bigger investment. So make sure you do some sort of visit before depositing. Also, with these visits, you can ask yourself, how do you feel on campus? Does it seem like a good fit? I know when my daughter was applying to colleges, we did a handful of tours, and there were certainly, I saw it firsthand, certainly colleges that uh, she would just get onto a campus and be like, yeah, I don't really see myself here. So these visits are invaluable. And we are so fortunate in Massachusetts that within a half day's drive, we can visit all types of institutions, whether that's public, private, a community college, rural, urban, large, small. So if you can, take advantage. And also, I'll say that if there's a college that you can visit in Massachusetts that might be similar to a college that maybe you can't visit, that you can't get to because it's too far away, you can still get a feel for what that campus is like. So if you do a formal visit, maybe go off the beaten path. Visit the student union, walk around, explore further. Take a look at the bulletin boards when you're on campus to get a sense of typical events that go on at that school. Pick up a copy of the school newspaper to read, what's going on campus. And if you can't get to a campus, as I said, maybe there's something similar you can visit in Massachusetts, but many colleges also offer amazing virtual tours online, so you can take advantage of that. All right, and college fairs are also a great way to learn about different college options in person or online. For those that are in person, you can typically sign up online. And again, look forward to these events. Sometimes these college fairs can be large, and so they can be overwhelming. They can be up to 200 colleges. So suggested to review the list of visiting colleges beforehand and have a plan of which booths to visit, because you're definitely not going to hit 200 colleges. If you can, schedule a one-on-one meeting with a college, if that is an option. And always make sure, if you're visiting a booth, to leave your name with the rep, because this is a perfect example of demonstrated interest. The colleges will have lists of students that visited their booth, and then when you apply, they'll be like, oh wow, this student attended this college fair and talked to so and so. Sometimes the high schools often host smaller college fairs as well, so keep an eye out for those. And as seen on this slide, here are the websites that you can visit for the list of those upcoming college fairs. So NYACAC and NYACAC fairs and nyacac.org. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about prospects for admission. So students will need to make sure to have a balanced list, and that list of colleges will include likely, possible, and reach schools. So this is given grades and everything about you. So likely means that you have a very good chance of being admitted. Possible is that the college profile fits you, the student that may attend, but there may be more qualified students. So no guarantee, but it's possible. And then those reach schools, the profile may be close, but the college is more selective and a larger number of applicants potentially. So it's important to make sure that there is at least one probable school on your list that's affordable. And all of the schools that you apply to, you want to make certain that you would be happy to attend any of those schools that you are admitted to on that list. So you can use, here is a tool in MEFA Pathway. It's the College Compare feature to help you determine where a college fits based on your preferences. So you can create a chart of up to 5 schools side by side, and then look at your profile and determine where you fall, likely possible reach colleges. You can create as many combinations of this chart as you like. So you can save them, so you can come back to the chart. Good question that we get often is how many schools should be on the list, how many colleges should be on your list that you're going to apply to. This is typically a family decision and may differ based on your intended major or program, but anywhere from 5 to 8 colleges seems to be the new norm. 9 is the national average, but some school counselors recommend less. Students may need to apply to more if the list has a lot of those Ivy League schools, as Ivy League schools have a a low acceptance rate because they're considered top tier and are considered a reach for all students. So just be aware of that. Okay, so college application types. Students can have a mix of application types. Some colleges require students to apply early if they want to be considered for merit aid or have an interview. So you want to research each college thoroughly for this information. So here are the different application types. We have regular decision. So you will apply by the college's regular deadline. This is usually in the early winter. And students will apply early if you need your senior year grades, maybe to boost your application. So regular decision, if that is the case, may be a better option. So there can be advantages both in admissions and financial aid to applying what we'll talk about next, early action and early decision. Early decision and early action have deadlines typically in November, December, and they vary, so make sure you check, and often involve an earlier financial aid deadline as well. So different deadlines. So you want to get however you're mapping out your deadlines, whether your Excel spreadsheet or whatever that is, make sure you're charting all of those deadlines. You want to check with the college to find out all of those different deadlines and be aware of that. Early decision is a binding decision. Early action is not. So if you apply for early decision, that's a pretty serious decision and commitment. Students often have to jump through hoops to get out of an early decision commitment. So it's important to make sure that if you're applying early decision to a college, it's financially affordable, regardless of the award letter. It's your top choice. If a student gets into a college early decision, then they have to rescind all other applications. So this does not allow the student to shop around. So a pretty serious decision to make. There are an increasing number of schools that offer early admissions, whether that's early decision and early action. So if you apply early decision or early action to a school, you'll either be denied outright, you'll be deferred to the regular admission pool, or you'll be accepted. An admit rate is a little bit higher through the early process. And for early action students, you still have until May 1 in the spring to make your final decision. So you can apply early action, and you can also apply regular. You can get all those decisions and then make your final decision by May 1. Rolling admissions. Rolling admissions is where applications are reviewed as they are received. So they open up the pool. It's best to submit your application as soon as you decide to apply. Chances for admission may be better. Also, if admission is rolling, keep in mind that there may be deadlines for other processes such as housing. So just keep track of that. Financial aid resources may also run out toward the end of the rolling admission process. So just advise to, once that application opens, to apply. And then there's open admission. Open admission is where the college admits almost all of their applicants with a high school diploma or GED. Some colleges have open admission for some programs, but not all. So another thing to check out in your colleges that you're applying to. All right, so now we'll talk a little bit about college application forms. So each school's website determines the type of application form required and how to submit the application. So Common App is one of the most common ones. It has about 900 member institutions or colleges. So the student will complete the application on the website and send to colleges that you're applying to that use Common App. The Common App has 7 essay prompts, which we'll look at in a few slides, word count of 650. And it is important to note that schools who use the Common App may even require supplemental application. So students can apply for a number of colleges, at one time, looking at the different requirements if there may be a supplemental app using Common App. The Universal College App has about 9 member institutions, including Harvard and Wentworth Institute of Technology. The platform provides a single centralized toolkit for students in order to organize and build their application to those institutions. The Coalition App, so this is an application that provides support to lower resourced and underrepresented students, often responsible student financial aid support. So there are over 150 schools, including Bates, BU, Bowdoin, Holy Cross, that use the Coalition App. And then finally, Paper App, that's becoming a little bit more obsolete, but some colleges still offer that. So when you have your list of colleges that you're applying to, just go onto their website and see how you will apply. Some college application components. So components that are required within each application, they may vary from school to school. Make sure you know the requirements for each college. Keep track of course, again, I know I've said this probably 3 times already, but keep track of admissions and financial aid deadlines. And your application will include, of course, the form, your high school transcript. You want to treat your application like a work of art. Make sure everything looks, capitalize your name. You would definitely want to preview it before you submit it, of course. Make sure your formatting is okay. You want the application, it's representing you, so you want it to be high quality. Advise to keep copies of your application after you submit it. You might want a copy to bring to an interview if you have one. And it's also helpful potentially to look at a blank application before you begin to see what it looks like so you can get through that. And so you want to look at all of these different components. Some colleges require all of them, some don't. Like, for example, if you're applying to an art school or a theater program, you may need to do, they may want you to do an audition or provide a portfolio. So just look at all the requirements of the colleges and make sure you're checking off all of those boxes. All right, what are colleges looking for? Colleges are looking for academic readiness. It is still the most important component in college admissions. Colleges want to bring in a class that is going to succeed and excel. They want students who are academically suited for their college. Rigor of the high school transcript is important. So rather than just grades, how do colleges determine this? Colleges look to see how well a student has challenged him or herself based on the academics offered at the school. They look at, we always get asked, is it better to get a good grades versus challenging classes? Is it better to get a B in an AP class than an A in an honors class? AP is college level work and will also prepare you better for college. So that's something to weigh as well. You want to check with the colleges that you're applying to see if your AP classes translate into college credits too. So that's something to consider. Colleges are looking at improvement over time. Did a student have a slow academic start? And then, maybe grade nine was a little bumpy. And then they really improved. Colleges look at that. They look at subjects in high school. Do they match the student's indicated program of study in college? And something that we always suggest and encourage, senior year grades are still very important. Don't let your senior year grades drop. Colleges do have the right to rescind admission to a student if the student's senior year grades are not satisfactory. So senior year can be very fun, but always keep in mind that academics are still really important. We have a sliding scale for mass public colleges and universities. So you can look this up to see if your grades fit in with the requirements. And just to remember that there is a college for everyone. Not everyone gets all A's in high school, and students with B's and C's can also go to college. So there is a college out there for everyone. It's a matter of doing the research and see what fits. Okay, standardized tests. These have changed over the course of the last few years. The PSAT is still taken first as a practice test, and students can design their free SAT prep based on SAT scores on College Board. So you take the PSAT and then you can generate out actually test prep based on your weaknesses of the test. So that's kind of cool. Students should work with your school counselor to find out if you should take the SAT and or ACT. They're different tests. So what's the difference? The SAT tests for analytical critical thinking, whereas the ACT is more curriculum based and tests science knowledge. So which one should you take? If you're not sure, try taking both once and see which one you do better on, and then focus on the test that you did well in. If a student, so there are many test optional schools now, and you can go, the website is at the bottom of this slide here, but you can go on to fairtest.org to get a list of all of the test optional schools. So if you take the test and you do not want to submit your test scores at a test optional school, other parts of the application are weighted more heavily. And if you retake these tests multiple times, research shows that usually you improve after a second try, but not usually after a third try. So, maybe 2 times taking the test. Some colleges take the best score from each section of the test, while other colleges just take the overall best score from one test state. So if both tests are offered, the SAT and the ACT as a test option, take the test on which you'll perform the best. At almost all test optional schools, your test scores will be considered if you send them. So if you do well, send them in. And if you do not want your test scores sent to a particular school, you'll indicate that in College Board. Okay, so that's important to note too. All right, so what else did you do? Let's talk about what you've done inside and outside of school. How do you spend your time when you're not going to school? This is important for colleges to see. MEFA Pathway has a great tool that you can use to keep track of all the wonderful things you're doing both inside and outside of school. So you want to make sure that you're keeping this up to date. If you go into the profile details in MEFA Pathway, you can track sports, clubs, internships, work experience, certificates that you've earned. So all of that can be tracked right in MEFA Pathway and keep that up to date. Colleges are looking for leadership. They're looking for resilience. They're looking for family responsibility. A student whose resume shows they work 20 hours a week in Dunkin' Donuts to help support their family is just as impressive as the captain of the lacrosse team. So make sure you're adding all of this to your activity list. Not sure what to list? What do you do after 3 p.m.? Think about the things you're doing outside of school. You want to make sure you let the college know of, again, that leadership, that initiative that you've shown in your activities, working part-time, volunteer work. Colleges want to see passion behind the extracurricular activities rather than just a list intended to impress. So keep that in mind. There's nothing too small to put on your activities list. Right, moving on to the essay piece, a very important part of the application. Your essay is an opportunity to share something about yourself that may not come through in the actual application. The essay, keep in mind, is not a research paper. It is a personal story. So you want to write something about your personal qualities, something that is going to evoke emotion from the reader. And keep in mind that college admissions, they read thousands of these. So you want yours to stand out. Some tips: start writing early. Do not wait until the last minute to look at the prompts, which we'll look at in the next slide. Leave plenty of time to share with a friend, a family member, to get feedback. You may even end up trying different topics and approaches. You want to concentrate on your current self, not a story that shows yourself in the past. Maybe something of a life-shaping experience, something personal. Colleges take plagiarism very seriously, so you want to ensure the essay is your work. Note that some schools may require you to write more than one essay, so make sure you're aware of the requirements. And again, college admissions counselors read so many essays, so if you can evoke some emotion or reaction out of them, laughter, sadness, surprise, you'll make an impression. And something else to think about is that if you have an essay written, you can potentially use it for scholarship, a scholarship application as well. All right, so here are some of the fall 2024 Common App prompts. I'll just read one. I'll read one right in the middle. Reflect on something that someone has done for you that has made you happy or thankful in a surprising way. How has this gratitude affected or motivated you? So as you can see, they're very personal, and you will have a very specialized and customized response to any and all of these. So read them, think about them, and again, you may start and then scrap it and go back and try something else. But also don't be afraid to share it and get feedback, because it is it's an important part of the application. Letters of recommendation, also an important part of the college application. Make sure you're aware of how to request letters at your high school. If there is a form or some sort of a process, many schools do have a process, so make sure you're connecting with your school counselor to see how that's done. Make sure you know how many letters a college requires. How many are required? How many are optional? Colleges will only read as many as are required and optional. So they're not going to read, if a college requires 2 and you send 3, they're only going to read 2. And they might not, that third one might be the one you really want them to read. So don't send more than they ask for. You'll want to ask teachers in May, so right now, of your junior year, for those juniors, for a recommendation, so they can maybe think about it over the summer. teachers put in a good amount of effort into these recommendations, and you want them to have the time uh, to put that good effort in. So you'll want to seek out teachers who taught you in core subjects, especially as teachers if you've taken honors or EP courses. Also helpful to seek out teachers who taught you in a subject you plan to major in, and teachers that know you well. So thinking too, maybe to ask your junior year teachers, they've just had you. So they've just had you for this academic year and they're very familiar with you. So also think about teachers who write well and are likely to get the recommendation done in time. Sometimes, if you have a teacher that has many recommendations to add, they get busy. So just give the teachers ample time. And one thing to add is send a thank you note. Like this is an effort on the teacher's part. So as a little note, a little, whatever it is, an email, just a quick thank you. Teachers definitely appreciate that. Okay, so moving on to interviews. So interviews are not offered at all colleges. They're less common, but they may be available also, but not required, which would be informational. So take advantage if you have the opportunity. It's a great way to ask questions and put your best foot forward. So two types of interviews. There's the informational interview. So this is an interview that's not required. So this is a great opportunity for you to ask questions and learn more about the school. And then there's an evaluative interview where admissions asks the student, you, questions as part of that decision process. So if a school strongly encourages an interview, definitely do it. You want to respond immediately to interview requests. Don't lag. If you're going to do it, do it. And the importance of the interview varies wildly from school to school. So assess and determine the importance at each school. You could be interviewed by the admissions staff, a current student, or even an alumni. And it's a great opportunity to have a conversation where the college can learn more about you. So be prepared to tell your story. Why do you see yourself a thriving student at this particular college? What do maybe even some things like to share your favorite book or your hobbies and your interests. You want to make sure that you are prepared and come with thoughtful questions. Certainly do not ask questions that are found on the website. How many students attend this school? You definitely want to arrive with thoughtful questions. Dress appropriately. That goes without saying. Maybe even do a practice run, maybe with a parent or a friend. And then again, after your interview, send a thank you note. Especially if the interview didn't go as well as you'd hoped, maybe acknowledge that and let the interviewer know that you wish maybe some of the things you would have said. Some colleges are even doing interviews over email. So students just make sure if you're doing it in that manner that you're using good grammar, punctuation, richer language, etc. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about admissions decisions. This is what we all are waiting for, right? So depending on when you applied, your decisions may come at different times. Most colleges send decisions over email now or post to their online portal. So students, make sure you've set up that online portal and access it. So here are the admissions decisions. Admitted, you're accepted, yay. You may be deferred. You've applied early, but your application, if it's deferred, will be considered in the regular applicant pool. Denied means that you're not accepted. Being denied may happen. College admissions is a competitive process, and there are many more qualified students who apply than can be admitted. So this is just part of the process. So don't lose heart. The wait list is gaining popularity as a result of colleges being more competitive and more students applying to more colleges. Some colleges have a very long wait list. you must submit your enrollment deposit at an accepted school, and this is usually non-refundable. So you can be accepted off the wait list. It might mean minimal financial aid. So if you are waitlisted, students usually have to accept their place on the wait list. So you'd write maybe a short note to the admissions counselor, and you would update your school, update the college with recent grades and awards. And then just to know that some colleges have more students on the wait list that are accepted. So you may not be accepted when you're on the wait list. So don't put all your eggs in that one basket. Understanding of college affordability. So very important to find out the cost of attendance of all of the colleges you're applying to. So this is tuition, fees, books, materials, supplies, housing, food, transportation, miscellaneous expenses. Most students will not pay the full cost of attendance due to financial aid offers from many sources, so keep that in mind. The net price, and we'll talk a little bit more in detail about that on the next slide, is the full cost to you minus any aid. So you'll be able to see what you'll actually have to pay. So you want to make sure, again, that you're keeping track of financial aid deadlines and requirements. It's so very important because it varies from school to school. Need-based aid versus merit-based aid may have different deadlines. Need-based aid is based off of the financial aid application, family income, and assets, whereas merit-based aid is based on qualities for admission, such as grades, test scores. So those are non-financials. And you can start looking for private scholarships now. MEFA Pathway has a great feature in the website. It's a national database where you can search for scholarships. There are roughly 4,900 national scholarships in the database. You can put in criteria. It works similarly to the college search. You put in criteria and it narrows down that search. You can save scholarships to your list and manage deadlines and awards. And something important to note is that many scholarships go unawarded each season because students don't apply. So there are a lot of scholarships out there. It just takes a little time and effort to apply, and this is money you do not have to pay back. So it's worth that time and effort. All right, the net price calculator. So the net price calculators are available on every college website. So you can use these calculators. The information you get from the calculator is only as accurate as the information you put in. And different schools have different questions on their calculators. The net price calculators do include the full cost of college. So if you're not, for example, if you're planning on commuting and tuition and not tuition, room and board may not be a thing, you can take that out. So that's something to note too. So definitely use the net price calculator on all the colleges you're applying to. All right, so applying for financial aid, we have our forms here, the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. Hopefully this will open on October 1 this year. It was a little behind this season. So this is required by colleges and universities. Really important to fill out. The 2025-26 is what our current rising seniors, current juniors will be applying for. And they will ask for that 2023 income. There are a number of schools that require the CSS profile. So this is a different financial aid application. Approximately 200 colleges require this, and this form also opens on October 1. So it just depends on where you're applying. Make sure you're aware of what schools, if a school requires that CSS profile. And then there are some colleges have specific financial aid applications. So again, just make sure you're looking at what each school is required of. And we also, I'm not going to talk too much about financial aid, but MEFA has a number of webinars really going through that financial aid process in depth, so you can always attend one of those. We also have some different programs with affordable options that are offered in Massachusetts. Mass transfer is amazing. We actually just did a really great webinar earlier today. So many great options and opportunities for Massachusetts students to start at a community college and transfer to a public state university. We also, there's a tuition break, which is offered by NEBI. So you can check those out for potential options, affordable options. And then staying on track for you through your senior year. Really exciting year, really busy year. So right here we are in the spring, summer of our junior year. You're starting to research your colleges, you're visiting campuses and maybe attending college fairs and asking teachers for letters of recommendation, starting to write your college essay. And then as we move along to fall, which is just around the corner, you may be retaking your tests, securing your letters of recommendation, finalizing those colleges that you're applying to, completing your applications, especially if those some of those colleges you're applying to early. And then winter of senior year, you're probably have submitted all of your applications. You have your FAFSA under control. You're always applying for always looking for private scholarships, and maybe even sending in those mid-year grades and reports. And then come spring of your senior year, super exciting. You're receiving your decisions and your award letters, and maybe attending open house programs of those colleges you're seriously considering that you've been accepted to. And then as May 1, that's when you will submit your final decision. So that's really exciting. All right, so I'm going to pause here and see if we have any questions. Oh, I see one. Here's a good one. What do you suggest for those who have taken a year off? Is it a similar process? Yes, it is. It's the same actual college admissions process. And I mean, maybe that's a good opportunity with the college essay to share what you've done during your year off. And many colleges, especially with this year being quite challenging with FAFSA, there may be more students that opt to take a year off. So yes, so similar, same process. And I won't speak for Melissa, but I think that you could probably come back to the counseling department and seek out guidance. Yes.
Yeah, we can help out, definitely.
Okay. Are there any other questions? All right. So what can you do now? We always encourage our families to sign up for our MEFA webinars. We have all kinds of live webinars and recorded webinars. So you're researching your colleges and you're creating that wonderful college list. And you're looking at the net price calculators, looking at the timeline. It's a really exciting time of life for students. So even though it's a bit overwhelming at times, embrace it. Take advantage of your wonderful counseling department at Brockton, and they are there to help you. I know that they are firsthand. I know they are. So always take advantage of that. And then one other thing is you can always follow MEFA on social media, Facebook, Instagram. We have a podcast. We have helpful videos, of course, and you can always call us if you have questions. We have our team answers calls Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So if you have something FAFSA related or anything related, you can call us or shoot us an email. So lots of people here to help you through the process. Melissa, did you have anything else to add, or?
I don't think so. I think you covered everything. I just want to let the listeners know that we are going to take kids to Bridgewater State College on May 30th for the NEACAC College Fair for just a couple hours. So those permission slips are in the guidance suites if you want to ask your students if they would like to attend. It's just a first come, first serve who returns their permission slip first. So I know
Get
you
in there.
mentioned that in the webinar. So just a way to get in touch with college rep, be face to face with college admissions representatives.
Great opportunity. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up.
And wrap it up.
All
Thank
right.
you, everybody.
Thanks for joining. Pleasure. Have a good
Yes.
night.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay, take care.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.